In 1956, on a clear, cloudless morning, two airliners collided in midair over the Grand Canyon in a sky that seemed impossibly endlessly empty. Everyone aboard both planes died. And the strangest part is that, at the time, almost nothing about it broke the rules. Why that was even possible will change how you picture the air above your head. We will get there. Look up on a clear day, and the sky looks like the freest, emptiest space imaginable, room for anything to go anywhere. That is an illusion. At any given moment, thousands of aircraft are threading through that air, many of them large, fast, and full of people, and if even two of them occupy the same point at the same instant, the result is catastrophe. The sky is not empty. It is astonishingly crowded in 3 dimensions. And unlike cars, aircraft cannot simply stop, or swerve casually, or see far enough ahead at those speeds to avoid each other by eye. 2 jets closing head-on approach, each either faster than a rifled bullet. Human eyes and reflexes are hopelessly inadequate to the task. Something outside the cockpit has to know where every aircraft is and keep them all apart, always. That something is air traffic control. And the core idea is beautifully simple: carve the invisible sky into a structure. The air is divided into layers by altitude and into corridors, like a vast 3-dimensional road network drawn in empty space. Aircraft are assigned specific lanes, specific heights, and specific times so that 2 planes are never, by design, meant to be in the same box of sky at once. The single obsession of the whole system is a concept called separation, keeping a minimum distance, both horizontally and vertically, between every pair of aircraft at all times. A controller on the ground watches a patch of sky, tracks every plane within it, and issues instructions: climb to this height, turn to this heading, hold this speed, to preserve those invisible bubbles of empty space around each aircraft. They are, in effect, choreographing the sky. Follow a single flight. It does not simply fly from one city to another. It is handed like a baton from controller to controller as it crosses the sky, each one responsible for a single region. As you cross a country, your plane is quietly passed from one pair of watching hands to the next, dozens of times, each controller keeping you separated from everyone else in their patch, then handing you on. You never feel a single one of these handovers. And here is what I find striking. For all the radar and technology, the beating heart of this system is still human. Trained controllers under immense pressure, holding a live 3-dimensional picture of moving aircraft in their heads, talking to pilots by radio, often in a terse, standardized language, so that nothing can be misheard. We have automated astonishing amounts of the world, and yet the safe separation of aircraft still rests, crucially, on human judgment and human voices. Which finally brings us back to the Grand Canyon. In 1956, much of the sky was uncontrolled. Outside the busiest areas, pilots essentially navigated by sea and avoid, trusting their own eyes to spot other traffic. Those 2 airliners, both drifting a little so their passengers could admire the canyon, simply never saw each other in that vast open sky. The disaster was the shock that built the modern system, forcing the structured, controlled airspace and the network of radar and controllers that we rely on today. Now, you might assume a system this vital is gleaming and modern. In many places, astonishingly, it still runs on decades-old technology and a chronic shortage of controllers handling ever more flights each year. The safety record is extraordinary, precisely because the rules are so rigid and the people so highly trained. But it is a system stretched thin, holding up a sky more crowded than its founders ever imagined, on foundations older than many of the jets it guides. Which is the quiet truth above your head. The empty blue sky is, invisibly, one of the most carefully organized spaces on Earth. A lattice of lanes and altitudes and timed handovers, policed in real time by human voices on the radio. The freedom of flight rests entirely on a hidden, rigid order that you never see and never feel. So the next time you look up at a clear, open sky, remember what is really there. Not emptiness, but an invisible grid of lanes and a chain of people passing each aircraft carefully from hand to hand. The sky above you is an invisible grid of lanes held together by people, radios, and rules written in the wreckage of old disasters older than the jet itself.